Welcome everybody to Feng Shui Mastery, and today we're looking at the 5 Feng Shui keys to that special relationship that you would like to attract into your life. And we have a special guest today. Her name's Karina, and we're going to look at the 5 keys that she herself discovered in implementing the ideas and the philosophy of Feng Shui. Hi there, Karina.
Hi, Kathy. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for actually agreeing to do this, because we've had some fantastic discussions in the past about how you met your current partner, and I know that you've attributed some of it to the ideas that you looked into with regards to Feng Shui.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I thought let's look at some of those 5 components that are very fundamental to your own personal journey and how you discovered them and how you implemented them. So I'd like to move on fast and just look at one of the first keys looking at is what you discovered in and around your own personal environment in relation to stored memories and stored photographs, basically clutter. Would you like to comment on that, please?
Yes, well, I was introduced to Feng Shui through my brother who gave me a book, and I remember reading the book and quite enjoying it and, agreeing intellectually with the book but never actually taking action. So I agreed intellectually with everything that was being said, but then never did anything. Then it happened that I was single for quite a while. I was single for about 3.5 years, and I was getting a bit frustrated to say the least. I was seeing um, everyone around me, like get into relationships, either get engaged, things like that, and their their life was moving on, and mine wasn't, and I couldn't understand. Um, if I was attracted to someone, they weren't attracted to me. If they were attracted to me, I wasn't attracted to them. Like nothing was working for 3.5 years, and so I spoke to this person, a guy called Glenn, and this guy said to me that the reason I was still single was because I was holding on to stuff that was given to me by past relationships, and I was holding on to them, and I wasn't letting, clearing out the space for
Mm,
someone new to come in, and so he said you have to get rid of any gifts you were given by previous relationships, any postcards, letters, uh, pieces of jewelry, anything that you were given in order to meet someone.
yeah.
And for me that was a bit hard because for me my past relationships, they're part of my life, and so were the gifts, and so were the cards, and all these memories. And for me, letting go of that was like letting go of part of my life, which I didn't want to do. Um, but I was that committed to making a change to my life, especially my love life, that I said, okay, I'll do it, and let's see if that
Yeah.
works. So I I threw away, letters, Valentine cards, all of that. I was even keeping, concert tickets, as a memory
Yeah.
of, going out with that person, going to a specific concert. I was
Sure.
holding on to concert tickets. I mean, the amount of things I was holding on to is
Yeah.
insane. I hold on to plane tickets when we went on holidays
Oh,
together. I hold
wow.
on to that. So that was the
Yeah.
amount of stuff I was holding on to.
Well, people do.
Uh,
You're right. Yeah, we do that.
yes, because it's memories is part of our life, and so I got rid of all that. The hardest part was to get rid of actual gifts because they had some value and I liked
Yeah.
them. It could have been a necklace, a bracelet,
Mm.
and that was the hardest part to give that away because they were valuable things. I
Mm.
never thought in my wildest dreams would I let go of them, but I did it anyway because I'm a bit extreme. If I'm going to do one thing, I'll do it until the end,
Yeah.
and so I went ahead and did that, and that was in. As far as I remember, that was in August 2011. I did a big cleansing, big clearing out of clutter, and so that was August 2011. In mid September 2011. So about 4 weeks later, I met my husband, and we got married 6 months later. So, you and I, we don't believe in coincidences,
Yeah, that's right.
and
Yeah.
and that was certainly not a coincidence. Especially knowing the fact that I had met him several times before,
Yes. Yeah.
and I was never attracted to him. We sat next to each other at a restaurant. Maybe a year and a half prior to that, and we didn't even speak to each other. That's how unattracted we were to each other.
So
Oh,
that's fascinating, Karina. I just wanted to bring you back to the whole concept of timing because you knew each other prior, but maybe you weren't resonating either of you from a vibrational energy or something that you just didn't see each other. What do you think?
absolutely, absolutely. At at the time, he wasn't, I think, looking for anyone anyway, and so it was just a question of timing, and we were both ready energetically when we saw each other for probably the third time. We were ready energetically. What's interesting as well is that he had been looking for someone for quite a while, and he hadn't met anyone. And his sister, who is very much into feng shui, gave him a statue of a statue. It's a man and a woman intertwined together, right? And
Mm.
she placed that in his bedroom, saying, "This will attract your soulmate." And that happened about a month before we met. And so that's very interesting. And
Mm.
it's a white statue of a man and a woman holding each other. And I can send you a picture of that so that you can
Yeah.
show your listeners,
Great.
because now we have it in our bedroom. So I had cleared out clutter. He never really had a lot of clutter, but he had the statue in his room, and his sister had decided that that statue would bring his soulmate. So that was very interesting how we both were single for quite a long time
Mm.
and struggling to meet anyone, and
How did it feel when you let
we
go
were
of all the clutter? You let go of all those memories, or how did you feel energetically within yourself?
well, it was hard while I was doing it, but the sense of getting rid of things so you have space, just having space where you not just clean space
Yes.
is amazing when you look back. So when you do it, you have doubts. You're like, am I doing the wrong thing? Is that right what I'm doing? Getting rid of gifts, because um it's hard to let go of gifts.
Yeah.
It's almost rude, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, sure, sure.
um so you have doubts, but it feels so good. It was like a weight lifted off my shoulder when I did that.
Right. So basically, this is a really good facet for people to lock into is, first of all, just looking at what you've got around you that takes you back into a memory of somebody else, perhaps, who is no longer in your life. I'm talking about a significant other. I'm not talking about
Yeah,
particularly family members. And to actually let go of that because it does have an energetic energy, which basically is pulling you back to another time, another place, another emotion, an emotional vibration, which basically, if you were looking for a new life, that possibly is a blockage to that.
absolutely, absolutely.
And what
And I'm
about,
definitely living
yeah,
proof of that. Hmm.
and what about you were saying about the ritual of letting go in terms of cleansing the space that you're living in?
Right, so it's feng shui. It's always a work in progress. You don't just declutter once and that's it. It's always a work in progress, and so you gave me the smudge sticks, which are great. I use all the time, the sage smudge sticks, and I've noticed that if if my day has not been going well, there's been a conflict at home, or I've
Yes.
just been handling a lot of stress with work because I work from home. Um, what I do is I just clear the space. I open the windows. I say an affirmation out loud, and as I burn the sage sticks
Mm.
around the house, and just that ritual is feels so good because I have a sense of peacefulness after I finish, and a sense of everything's gonna be okay,
Mm,
and I feel a bit relieved. And if I do it because it has had to do with conflict and at home,
yeah.
um, I feel this sense of forgiveness where I realize, well, it wasn't that important. I was just sweating the small stuff.
Yeah.
So that's what it does to me. It's really cleansing.
Yeah, I think that's a great description of that whole process. That it's actually you're physically getting yourself involved in cleansing this space. And while there's a peacefulness and a forgiveness that you've mentioned to me in the past, I came up with the whole idea of also that there is a gratitude there as well of recognizing where you're at now, and that like you're saying, it wasn't as big as your mind made it to be once you've got through that process.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that is really helpful to people when because if you think about it, if we have all kinds of thoughts and conflicts even within ourselves, it doesn't even have to be with somebody else. If we have like self-sabotaging thoughts, then to cleanse that space is really helpful for us as individuals, let alone as as in relationships or families. Um, and I know you've said something about you placed certain things in your own home. Can you say a bit more about that?
Well, what we did is our bedroom is in the relationship area of the house. So our bedroom. So we were, very careful when we moved in that that was going to be the case. Just because, I've read so many books on feng shui and watched your webinars that I was
Yeah,
clear about where the bedroom
yeah,
was going to be.
sure.
Um, I'm very careful about not putting. Any television in the bedroom, for sure. No television. Like, I'm trying to make it a place of rest.
Yeah,
And nowadays, especially because we work from home, it's so easy to just bring our laptop to the bedroom.
yes.
And I used to do that. Actually, I used to sleep with my laptop next to me to let it charge.
Hmm.
And I realized that when I stopped doing that, I was more. It was more resting for me. I felt rested in the morning. Whereas when I would go to bed, all I could think of was, what I need to do the next day,
Yeah.
if I forgot to do anything. I couldn't switch off
No, you
completely.
never left your work basically.
Exactly. Um, I've also got two mandarin ducks on our next to our bed, and I've also
Yeah.
got two pink quartz stones. Do you call them stones?
Crystals. Crystals,
Crystals. Yep,
yes.
that's right. My little symbols that symbols that for me represent togetherness, communication,
Yeah.
partnership. All these symbols. So for me, it's the the two pink crystals, the statue, of course, the white statue of the man and the woman
Mm,
intertwined together,
mm.
and the Mandarin ducks. All these symbols I've put next to our bed, just as a reminder that this is the sacred space, the sacred space of the relationship.
That's fascinating because I've just come from a conference on Saturday where they were saying that symbols are so much more effective and have a magnifying effect on our lives far more than words themselves. That we see things or feel things far greater, and when it's a symbol, a symbol is a compressed form of information. So when you set your environment up like you've done, then you've actually connected the dots within the environment to give you the message back that you so much want in your life. And this is what is very invaluable to people, is to, if they do that for themselves, then they're actually supporting the road in which they want to go themselves.
Absolutely.
And you also mentioned something in our last conversation, which I thought was extremely significant in a lot of people's lives, and that is when we come up against extreme events in relation to the home. Can you say a bit about that?
Yes, well, I was referring to floods or fires or robbery, which I've been I've gone through the three of them actually, and as devastating as it can be, to experience a flood, for example, or a fire or a robbery, you really feel uh, that you've had an invasion in your home,
Sure.
um, and um, and it's actually quite sad when you see that everything, your valuables are
That's
either
right.
destroyed or have disappeared. Um, but I realized when, well, first with the fire, the fire eliminated quite a big chunk of our garden. Luckily, the fire didn't reach
Mm,
our house, the inside, but the garden. So coming back to a home where everything is black around you,
mm,
that was quite devastating. And the flood, flood did a lot of damage to the the floors, the walls,
it's a huge
and
loss, isn't it? A lot. It's a
it's a huge
loss.
loss.
Yeah.
And the same with the robbery. I came home one night, and I the front door was open, all the cupboards were open, all the things from the cupboard were on the floor, and quite a few things missing. And at the time, each time it was just devastating. It was just devastating, and just things that I really valued just disappeared. But looking back now, I realized that it was actually a blessing in disguise, because it was an opportunity for me to start fresh, to start new. And every time I would start new, my life would kind of get an upgrade, because I would
Mm,
get new things, better things, more quality things instead. So it was like, it was basically, looking back, it looks like it was just a way for me to get a life upgrade, if there is such a thing.
mm. Yeah, I resonate with that. How long did it take you to make that realization?
It was just about a year ago when
Okay.
I read the Feng Shui books. I realized, uh, I looked back at all the times where I had to start fresh and start new, and when I had to replace objects and or eliminate some, and that's when I remembered the flooding, the fires, the
Mm,
robbery, and I
mm.
realized, wow, actually, it they were good things, because I bought this and that was so much better than what I previously owned,
Yeah, yeah.
and I received as a gift this, which was even better than what I used to have. And so it was just an opportunity for me to get an upgrade. Of course,
Mm,
it's hard to see it when you're experiencing it,
definitely. Yeah,
in the present. But
yeah.
looking back, it's usually, a blessing in
Because
disguise.
we take these incidences very personally, as if someone has personally gone in and planned it against yourself or oneself. Because that's how often we work as people. Is that anything that happens to us is taken personally. But I resonate with the whole idea of that something that you couldn't change yourself because it was so big, maybe something else outside of that has done that. And even if people don't actually take that on board or believe that, it's one of the best ways or approaches to actually get over something as big as this, is that
Hmm.
when something like this happens, is to say, well, it's a cleansing. It's like nature, the fires burn the bush, and then there's almost like a cleansing of nature, to
Hmm.
start anew, and new things to grow from that.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. So it sounds all in all that your life to today has been as a result, to some extent, as a journey of some of those feng shui keys that you actually implemented.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, we are talking about relationships today, but also in the wealth area, in the career area. As soon as I made a few changes last year, after completing two new books on Feng Shui, I made a few changes. Place things differently. Definitely threw away things, and just my career has just taken off
Yeah.
as of a miracle. Things that I thought in my wildest dreams could happen, happened this year. So I think it's
Fantastic. Yeah,
yeah, Feng
yeah.
Shui is responsible for that.
Well, there you go. That's a huge statement, folks, to listen to. And I just want to thank you, Karina, for coming in and basically expressing your own feng shui journey and how it's impacted upon you. And, once again, it's not had to cost, it's cost very little, hasn't it? You don't have to go out and buy huge, great big statues or anything like that. It's more about less is more in many ways, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's all about, buying less stuff in a way,
Mm,
and getting rid of a lot of things as well.
yeah, because it crowds and clouds our judgment and all our clarity. I would have thought. So that is fascinating. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best, both in all the 9 different aspects that feng shui actually addresses. So thank you, Karina.
Thank you.